All right, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us for this Window into Paris webcast live from COP21. We have Lauren with us, and we also have the Avalon School in St. Paul, Minnesota. And so Lauren is in Paris right now. My name is Megan, and I am the programs coordinator at Climate Generation, a Will Steger legacy, and we are a nonprofit in Minneapolis, Minnesota, so just across the river from Avalon. And we educate and empower people to engage in solutions to climate change. And we recognize that educators are critical messengers of climate and energy literacy for hundreds of students each year. And so we are leading a group of 10 education ambassadors, is what we're calling them, to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change 21st Conference of the Parties, which is a mouthful, but that's short for, we call it COP21. And that is where all the educators are now in Paris, France for this week. And these teachers are engaging in the international climate negotiations as both learners and communicators back to their classrooms and communities. And so they represent different subject areas and grade levels and educational settings from around the entire country. And this year's negotiations have the goal of achieving a legally binding and universal agreement on climate with the aim of keeping global warming below 2 degrees Celsius. So that is what all of the negotiations and talks are trying to aim for these 2 weeks. And today we have Lauren, who is in Paris right now, and she's going to share with us what it's been like to be a part of this historic event. And then we also have her class in Avalon in St. Paul, Minnesota, joining us on the call today as well. And Lauren's going to give us kind of an overview of what she's been up to, and then we'll have time at the end for a little Q&A. So I'm going to hand it over to Lauren, and they're going to turn up the volume for you. So we'll wait for a go from them. And if you want to take it away, Lauren. So, okay, I think we're ready to go.
Okay, I think I'm ready. Can you hear me? Hello? Okay. I don't know if they can hear me or not. Okay, well, I'm going to first show you, go back. Okay, so I have been at COP21 with the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, 2015. There are two zones. There's the blue and the green zone. The blue zone is for the negotiators and certain people who get a certain pass to go to the blue zone. There are 10 of us, 10 educators that came along. 2 of the educators got passes for the blue zone, and I got a pass to go to the green zone. In this picture, you'll see the president right here of Mozambique with our group. Okay. I'm in the green zone, and in the green zone, there's a lot of side events and speakers, and you can see here, this is a picture of the green space right here, and this is COP21. This is what it looks like inside the building. Here are some of the issues that we have happening. On climate justice is the first one. Someone stated in the agreement that this is a human rights issue. Then there's some issues on whether we should go to 1.5 degrees or 2.0. And 1.5 degrees or 2.0, oh my gosh, we've got the slideshow is trying to present itself. All right, 1.5 degrees or 2 degrees. With our current INDCs, they say that with what each country will do, it will be over 3.5 degrees unless each country does more. This is a photo of our group meeting with John Huldren. John Huldren is the president's senior science advisor. And what John was saying that currently we don't have the technology to keep it at 1.5 degrees. We are currently at 0.09. But if we want to keep it at 1.5 degrees, we need some way to make some way to sequester that carbon dioxide. So this is a big deal with the island nations. The island nations needed to stay below 1.5 degrees because they're getting flooded with the ocean right now. Here's a couple of photos that people brought in and that were shared at the COP21. These countries, one of them, Bangladesh, Thailand, these countries are only 1 meter above the sea level, and they are already having to move out of parts of the cities. They're having flooding. There's millions of people living without clean drinking water. On the underdeveloped countries and women's issues, undeveloped countries want the indigenous people and their rights recognized in the agreement. It was first of all in the agreement, but it was taken out. That's one issue that they want that they want it stated in the agreement. Something about protecting the rights and recognizing the indigenous people. And the women's issues are a lot to do with cooking and food gathering and caring for children and water, because women have to travel further to get water, to get firewood. There's a lot more diseases that they have to deal with children. Environmental changes, we all know the oceans are rising. We have floods, droughts, animal extinctions. This picture right here was really cool. It was a giant polar bear that was at COP21, and you can see the size of it compared to the people. It was quite robotic, so it had lights on it, etc. It was a pretty dramatic call for what's happening with the polar bears. Solutions. There's a lot of solutions that need to take place. First of all would be renewable energy. And this photo is a photo of 3 governors along with an official in France that signed a binational agreement. Okay, this agreement is saying that we are going to keep, we're going to have 50% renewables by the year 2030. So in 15 years, the states of California, Washington, and Vermont are stating that they will have 50% renewable energy. When it comes to transportation, in the United States, we have new standards to get 54.5 miles per gallon in the vehicles. There's also electric and hydrogen cars. I went to a speaker on airplanes and a panel on airplanes and what will happen. And this is the design of a new Boeing that will be lighter. It will use biofuels, and the engines will be more efficient. So there's a lot of changes that they'll be making with airplanes. Then, if you look in the other picture, it's a hydrogen filling station. And what I think is so cool, it's a McFilling station, if you look at that. So you can go and fill your car with hydrogen. Pretty cool? The other solution is citizen action. Individuals can make a difference, but when we work together, we can do even more. This young lady right here was from the historically black community or colleges and universities, and she was saying that she's going to be working on a plan when she gets back in order to get their environmental groups at her college doing more. This group over here wanted There's a lot of groups wanting to stop fracking across the United States and across Europe and in other countries. It's not just happening here. Fracking is happening everywhere. And when it gets banned in one place, it is started in another place. Well, the agreement. We're all here to hear this great agreement that we're hoping to come out tomorrow. In the agreement right now, we know that the countries have already submitted their intended nationally determined contributions, their INDCs. For the US, we said that we would reduce our carbon emissions from 26 to 28% by the year 2025. Right now, or as of yesterday, the United States and Europe and the small island nations joined a coalition called the High Ambition, and they want provisions that would require countries to submit verification of their cuts by an outside body. So they want somebody else to look at, is every country meeting their INDC? And then they also want to come back and return to COP in 5 years and with more stringent pledges. So every country being able to up their pledge and make it so we could meet that 2 degrees goal. Sorry, I'm trying to talk loud. Okay, they can. Great. So you guys can hear me, I just heard. That's awesome. Okay, conclusion. So today what I was really looking at is Paris is not our destination. It's a road to the future. We need to keep this momentum going, and today what I did was I went around and started interviewing different people on what were they going to do when they get back? How are they going to keep the momentum going? So if you read my blog, that will be coming out tomorrow, or I guess later today for you guys. When you read that, it's going to be what different people said that they were going to commit to when they go back home and get back into their lives, and how they'll keep the momentum going. Again, this agreement is not going to settle this. This is just the beginning. Having an agreement will just hopefully kind of build the momentum in our country, but we're still going to have to keep that momentum going so that we can dive into this quickly and boldly. Okay, that's my presentation. I'm hoping that some of you have some questions for me that I can answer for you.
Questions from you guys? Come on. Things you're wondering, things you're not sure of.
What's it like in Paris?
Do you hear that? What's it like in Paris?
Okay. Can you see me? Yes, hi. What's it like in Paris? You know, some parts of Paris are really historic. When you go over by the Arch, when you go down by the U.S. Embassy, it's really historic. The buildings are really old. I went to a huge museum, the Louvre. Just those parts are really beautiful. Other parts of the country, we take the train everywhere we go. We either walk or take the train. So they have a great transportation system. Parts of the country are in the city, so I'm only in the city. The city, some parts are very narrow street and not real nice. As far as like, it's not elaborate, it's not fancy, but very friendly people. It's really international. Most people here speak both French and English, so I've been able to talk to people a lot. And when we're at the conferences, people are from all different countries. You meet people from Norway, from New Zealand, from Mozambique, from New Guinea, from everywhere that you can imagine, from the Marshall Islands, from Peru. There's people in there in their dress from their country, so that you can tell partly what country they're from, and other people you can't tell until you start talking to them. So, hey, Claire.
Hi. I was wondering if there's been any like acknowledgement of the terrorist attacks in Paris, or if that has kind of changed some of the attitude towards things. Like, has that kind of changed the dialogue at all there from what like it might have been?
There hasn't been, and that's a really good question, Claire. There hasn't been any type of there's been no dialogue because of that, but there has been increased security. So we get checked in when we go into COP. We get checked when we come into the hotel. We're in a hostel. We get checked when we come in here, even that this is where we're supposed to be. There's just a lot more security, and you see it everywhere. And there's even, like National Guards on the street some places in the more historic areas. So, but no one's talking about those. Everybody's really focused on the negotiations. So.
Next question.
Do you think that the long term of having the climate increase by 2 degrees is like acceptable? Because that's a lot of degrees over like a couple years, you know.
Do you hear that, Lauren? They're talking about, do you think the 2-degree increase is acceptable, meaning that it's still a pretty substantial increase?
No, it's not. Right now we're at 0.9. If we don't even know what 1.5 degrees will happen, will do, right? We don't know what 2 degrees will do. We do know that right now, with the current models, even with the current INDCs, that will be 3.5 degrees increase. With what countries are saying that they will do what they'll commit to. If we want to keep it below 2 degrees, which is certainly possible, we would all have to really act. It would just have to be kind of an overhaul of our systems really quickly. Again, John Holdren, as a science advisor, he did not think that we could do it unless we can come up with we can do 1.5 degrees, unless we can come up with some way to capture the carbon dioxide that's already in the atmosphere. Because carbon dioxide stays in the atmosphere for up to 1,000 years. So I know it sounds like a lot, and it's going to be twice as much at the poles, but right now, 2 degrees we could do. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Do they have any long-term plans? So instead of just expecting it to be 2 degrees, do they want to instill a similar policy to how St. Paul has, where you have to have a certain number of trees in a certain amount of area?
Are they looking at other long-term plans? Trying to sum up.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's a great question. Just other long-term plans, kind of like talking to maybe about the ratcheting, coming back to the table. Has that been talked about at all?
With the governors, and also there's been 350 mayors and other elected officials who are signing a letter to the President Obama, stating that they are pledging that they can make it get on renewables, 50% renewables by the year 2030. So they're already going above and beyond what President Obama has brought in our INDC. Long-term plans, no, there's not. If we wanted to make plans to get to 2 degrees, again, we'd have to really come together again and ratchet it up. Part of the agreement is going to have to be some. We're going to have to pay to keep some of the forests because we've cut down a lot of our forests, and a lot of our forests have already burned as well. We've got a lot of wildfires happening in our country, in Canada, in Russia. I learned that even the tundra is burning at times now. So we have to pay other countries so that they will keep their forests, their rainforests, so that we can get some of the carbon dioxide out of the air.
Great, thank you. It looks like we have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Is there any conversation about India and China and their use of coal in their desire to get more electricity to the people in their country?
Yes, there is. So China stating that you're going to have your. Oh, you guys have to mute your sound, I guess. So China says that they are going to cap their CO2 levels from rising by the year 2030. So they're not even going to start reducing their carbon dioxide emissions. They're just going to stop it from rising by the year 2030. So that's certainly a concern because they're using a lot of coal. Also, India is as well. India, in our agreement with trying to have regulations and then ratchet it up, China and India are two of the countries that don't want that to happen. They don't want someone making sure that they, not to make them sound bad, but they don't want someone checking to make sure that they are meeting their goals all the time, each year. And they don't want to commit to anything beyond what they've put in their INDC at this time. Another discussion with India is that because Bangladesh is going to be flooding more and more, and it's right next to India, there's already a clash between Bangladesh and India, so that clash might become even stronger as people need to move out of Bangladesh and find clean drinking water. So, but I haven't heard any discussions other than that. Bye, guys.
Okay, so I don't want to be too loud. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay, thumbs up. All right. Well, thanks so much, students at Avalon, for joining us, and thank you so much, Lauren, for sharing about what it's been like for you at COP21. It's great to hear from all the educators and the unique perspectives that you all bring. So thank you for being there, and thank you for having these students and these great questions. So
All right, you're welcome.
I'm going to sign off.
All right, bye.
Thanks.